welcome to what is going to be the very first Fred in the Shed Channel 2 video. And I will do an explanation why I'm making different videos on different channels. But these videos are going to be a little bit more rough and ready, less editing, less time taken to get these ones up on YouTube. They're just going to be sort of chucked up there. Now then, those of you that are familiar with my channel, this is the sort of scene that you normally see when I'm doing Fred in the Shed 1 videos. All of the radio setups here, you know, some of the videos are all sort of taken around this area. But behind me, if we turn around, what we've got here is a black piece of, well, sheeting really, with some rather weird looking sort of flags. So what's that all about? Well, this is something, well, basically, other than radio, another little hobby of mine has been sim racing. And if we come around here, which you don't normally see, in a kind of rather sort of dilapidated state at the moment, I've got one of these sim rigs, and I have done a couple of videos on these before. They are on the Fred in the Shed channel, Fred in the Shed 1 channel, I should say. Don't you know? Not a lot of people have seen them really. They're in there. You have to sort of go looking for them in the videos. But basically, I've got one of these sim rig setups, which is something I really sort of enjoyed doing for a while, and it's something I need to get back into. But I've been neglecting this basically due to the fact I've been doing a lot of radio and you know, other projects like building up a mountain bike and stuff, you know, in the summer. And this is basically how I've left it. I haven't really touched this. I think it must be getting on for, well, 9 months or maybe even a year. And as you can see, the PC down there is in kind of a ripped out state. I started to do some upgrading. I bought a better graphics card. I bought the GeoForce GTX 750 Ti. That was about probably just after Christmas this year. So it's just about, what, 9 months ago. Not a bad graphics card. It's only really a budget graphics card compared to some of them. But I started doing some upgrading. I also got a new version of Windows 7 Professional. Bought a genuine version of that. And what was driving me was that I've been using this sim rig for quite a while, so there are some videos on it, and I was basically well into Assetto Corsa, and then things moved on, and I bought Project Cars when it was on offer on Steam. And once I got Project Cars, straight away I found limitations of the PC. Now, I can't remember the exact spec of that PC we've got down there, but it's something like, I think it's just a dual-core Pentium running at about 3.6 gig, I think. And I had 4 gig of RAM in it. And straight away, when I went onto Project Cars, all I could do was just run it on the very lowest level. Couldn't get it above the minimum sort of spec and the minimum effects, and it didn't look particularly good. Although the driving dynamics on Project Cars are very realistic, it just didn't look very good. And especially when you go on YouTube now, you know, when people are running these things at sort of like crazy levels of resolution and realism, and you know, it just made mine look crap basically. So I kind of I bought a graphics card, and that helped a little bit, and then I upgraded the RAM. I think I went up to about 6 gig of RAM in that. But unfortunately, the processor, it just wasn't having it. It really wasn't having it. So we hit a stage on there where I was going to have to spend, you know, a little bit of money on it, and I wanted to spend the money on other things, mainly radio. I was getting more into radio. There was more people coming on in the area, so basically this just got left, and that, you know, this is so it's a terrible waste, but this is how it's sort of like a bit sad. It's a bit like the arcade machine I built. I just kind of moved away from this, left it in this rather dilapidated state, and that's how it's been. But the winter's coming on now, and you know, so there's less I can do outside, so I think it's time that I revisited this and got all this up and running again. So I've ordered some upgraded parts. I've decided to replace the motherboard for a gaming orientated motherboard. I think it's 720 MSI motherboard. That's on its way. I've also upgraded the processor to a 6-core processor. I forget what the exact spec. I'll show you when it all arrives. And I'm also going to move up to HyperX Fury RAM. I'm going to install 16 gig of RAM, so I'm hoping that will be enough, at least to get me to run Project Cars, probably on mid resolution. I won't get it to run on high resolution. You need a really stonking machine for that. But you know, hopefully get it onto sort of mid resolution. So that's what I'm going to be doing on these videos. And as I say, the Thread in the Shed 2 videos are a bit more rough and ready. They're going to be a little bit longer than I normally do. And it's just going to be as it happens, as it were. You know, I'm not going to sort of worry too much about editing, and they might not even be permanent videos. You know, I'll put them up on a channel. It's not, the channel's not going to get very many views, but it's just, as I said on the intro, it's just for the sort of regular subscribers, you know, to sort of see other things that I'm doing other than the reviews that I do and the sort of the radio videos, which are very much trimmed down to sort of try and cater for everyone. So there you go, that's where we are, and just waiting for I've ordered the bits and just got to wait for them to come in, and then I can start building up a PC, and I'll shoot some video on that, and we'll go from there. Okay, so thanks for sticking with it so far. A few days later, and the items have arrived from Amazon that I ordered, and it all looks very nice. Doesn't look a lot for your money, does it really? But that's what a computer's about. The HyperX Fury 8GB of RAM has turned up, and this is a matched pair, and it goes together with the matched pair of HyperX Fury RAM chip sims that I've got already in the loft, which I don't think I showed you. But basically, these are a matched pair, and which means you can run sort of dual memory mode on the motherboard. And they got this rather nice sort of metal heat sink, really, which go, you know, I don't know if that does anything. It looks nice, doesn't it? And they don't really cost any more than the sort of normal RAM. So that's in total I'll be running 16 gig. Yeah, I think we should, you know, that'll probably be enough. Then this is DDR3 RAM. Specifically chose DDR3 because the ones I've got upstairs are also DDR3. So at this stage I wasn't going to upgrade to the later DDR4 RAM, which I don't know. I'll explain a bit about that why in a minute. Also, the new processor, the AMD FX6300, 3.5 gig, 14 megabytes total cache, and comes with a cooler as well, which is quite good. And yeah, pretty much, you know, I could have gone for this is a 6-core processor. Could have spent a bit more and gone for the 8-core, but the price ramps up quite a bit, to be honest. I think it's about an extra 50% more for the 8-core. Currently running a dual-core AMD processor, which isn't working particularly well. So as you can see, this one was screened in sort of 2011, so not the most current sort of processor, but it's a big step up. I think it's just about 90 quid, I think, for the sort of, you know, genuine processor. So the next ramp up is quite a bit more. And then that brings on to the motherboard itself. I said an 870, I think, in the loft, but the 970 gaming motherboard, specifically designed for gaming. This motherboard, I'll get it out in a minute. It's quite pretty. I've had a look at it. Now then, normally when I do the PC builds, and I have done a few in the past, I normally only spend, you know, maybe I think the cheapest was about £32. I normally buy a gigabyte board, and I think £32. I think the one that's in the PC at the moment, I think was about 45. And I've pushed the boat out a little bit on this one, mostly because this is the first board that I've bought that is purely designed for gaming. And on the board itself, there's no inbuilt graphics or anything like that. It's all been stripped out, you know, to make the bus as quick as possible. Has this killer E2200, yeah, game networking LAN socket. Did do a little bit of reading about that. Yeah, basically an intelligent network platform is built in. It's supposed to sort of slightly buffer network traffic. Here you go. It's supposed to sort of prioritise sort of gaming, gaming sort of you know, internet coming in. I don't know whether that's just a myth or you know, whether or not the chips on there. It's got a 7.1 audio boost. It supports double graphics cards, military class 4 components. Gaming port. You get a PS2 socket on this as well, which sort of quite rare in its own way now. You know, most boards have done away with the PS2, just mainly, but quite a lot of gamers do prefer the PS2. USB socket, it's got loads of USB sockets. I think there's I don't know, 6 or 8 sockets on the back. It also supports, I think, up to 14 USB sockets. And that's quite important for when I'm running some of the gauges and things that I do on the sim, and I'm running Sim Dash. That does start mounting up USB sockets, so that's quite important as well. So as I say, I pushed the boat out a little bit on this one. Came in at over 80 quid. I think it was about 86 pounds, something like that. So it's quite expensive. It's probably the most expensive motherboard that I've bought. But because I'm running a MSI graphics card as well, I wanted the complete compatibility. You know, I didn't want to worry about non-compatibility. But it is a very nice looking board. I mean, they've certainly done all the eye candy. You know, got this rather impressive heatsink here with the shield and everything, and the way that they've screened the heatsinks there. You know, it is a very nice, impressive looking board. Yeah, you know, I suppose a lot of that maybe is just for sort of show, but it does. You know, just looking at it, it does actually feel quite nice, and there's all the connections and that on the back. So plenty of USB sockets. I think the blue ones would be USB 3, and that's 8 sockets on the back. And yeah, there you go. As I say, no built-in graphics or anything like that. 7.1 surround, and yeah. So pretty much, I'm sort of ready to go. I'm ready to start building up the new system. And it's certainly going to look the part. Not that my display case really hasn't got a window or anything like that in it. Maybe I should. So it's certainly a nice looking board. Certainly does look. All right then. So next bit you see, I'll be building it up. Cheers. Thanks for watching. So this was my old system. Well, when I say old, it's not. It wasn't that old, but it's old in computer terms. You know, every 2 years things become old. So as I said, you know, I used a gigabyte board there. It was an expensive board. I think it was about 40 quid at the time, and I remember it was when DDR3 RAM becomes sort of the current format, which I've still stuck with. I'm still sticking with DDR3, and that's mainly because I want to continue with Windows 7, and I know Windows 7 supports DDR4, but you know, I want to stick with the current sort of drivers that are around, and I want to be sort of digging around for other drivers. And I don't want to basically, at the moment, I don't want to run Windows 10 because I've had quite a few bad reports. You know, other gamers on Windows 10, and a lot of my games are sort of 4 years old now. So I basically want to stick with Windows 7. So we stuck with Windows 7. So I've got 2 strips of DDR3 in there. I can't remember. I think that's running about 4 gig of RAM. I think. You know, I can't remember. And then the processor itself, when I upgraded that 3 times in total, I went from I think about a 3600 processor to a 5000. Eventually I think I went to something like an 8000 processor, which was a dual core, and that was about the fastest processor that I could actually run on that board. And basically by the time I got to that, they were really cheap. I think I was buying them second hand on the internet, and I think I only paid about 20 quid for that processor. Sorry, where was I? Have the cat now. Let's try and keep it quiet. Yeah, so it was down to about 20 quid, those sort of processors. So I didn't mind really overclocking it. So I did overclock this board, and hence I was running it, as you saw up in the loft there, with the side of the case off to try and keep it cool. And it worked pretty well actually. I think I had a couple of temperature warnings come up, and I think it shut down once. I seem to recall it shutting down just once. And that was without any real additional cooling. I haven't really got any more fans in here. 500 watt power supply, cat. That's probably getting a little bit kind of sort of weak now. You probably want to go up to about 650, 700 watt, but that'll be fine for what I want to do. And then the MSI card down there, which was the latest. That was, I think, that was about a year ago I bought that. That was the latest investment. That's got massive amounts of cooling built in, 2 great big fans, which we'll have a look at when I take it off. So that's the old system. Oh, just a basic hard drive. I did have a SDD drive in there, but I borrowed that to do backing up some of my YouTube videos, so I decided to sort of back them up. So that got borrowed. So currently I'm just running on a 720 RPM hard drive, and that seems to work quite fine, to be honest, at the moment. So I'm going to stick with that for now. I might go back to a solid drive in the future, but for now all my games and settings, everything's on there. So all I need to do, get the screwdriver out and strip all that out and put the new stuff in. Now I know before I start stripping this out, some clever Herbert is going to come up and say, you should wear a static strap on your wrist, because if you touch one of those chips, the static electricity that's in your body will short that chip out and you'll completely fook it up. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. So please, don't put that. Spare me that in the comments, alright? But I've done, a few of these builds before. I've done, let's just say, quite a few computer builds over the time. And yeah, I did have a static strap. I think on the first one it got in the way. I completely got pissed off with it and threw it away, and I've never done one since. And honestly, I've never had a problem. All right, so I just sort of tend to dive in there with the old screwdriver, and away we go. And yeah, one day I might kind of short out a chip or whatever, and then I'm going to be sort of quite sorry. But until that day happens, I think these things are damn sight more robust than people think. So yeah, so we'll spare that one in the comments, right? Gonna take some stuff out now. Most of that's gonna stay in, to be honest. I just need to take the whole board out and just put in the new the graphics card and shove all the new stuff sort of back in. So right, I won't show you that because that's boring, and I'll crack on. That's the cat, by the way.